Hey everybody, Hoosier Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking about episode 17 of season 1 of Green Lantern, the animated series called Blue Hope. Now, just a little note, the review for the last episode, Steam Lantern, I was actually able to do in October because it was leaked via iTunes. So if you would like to see the review for that episode, just click on the Green Lantern playlist that I have here on my channel and you can go and check that out. Now, bringing it back to the episode at hand, Blue Hope. I think this is overall an all right episode. It's very much they're starting. They just basically are starting the boil. Let's put it that way. We're obviously going to see things building and building to like a really great climax, like we did with the whole Rage of the Red Lanterns thing from the 13th the first half of the season. And of course, the Manhunter subplot does continue, but it's only done so somewhat. This is mostly just to bring the Blue Lanterns into the foray, and of course to establish why it is that they're not really going to be able to help the Green Lantern Corps too awful much. Of course, the main reason, one of the big reasons anyway, is that there are only two Blue Lanterns. Now, St. Walker we're already familiar with. Our new character is Brother Worth of the Blue Lantern Corps, and he is a character from the comics. He is indeed the second recruit in the Blue Lantern Corps, just like the comics. I know some people out there are probably not going to be too happy with the somewhat Indian accent that he has, but it's always been very blatantly obvious that Brother Worth drew quite a bit of inspiration from images of Ganesh. I'm okay. I'm going to stop in my attempts to pronounce that because I know I'm just going to butcher it. So, well, you guys understand what I'm driving at. Let me try and speak slowly and clearly. Obviously, that Brother Worth is a character who draws on the imagery from Hindu mythology, so I think it really makes sense to sort of give him that kind of an accent because it really is obvious where you're getting that from, so why not just acknowledge it and go with it, right? I don't think that any disrespect is meant, so I think people should just just kind of let things be. Really, it's nobody's looking to start a fight or offend anybody here, so why get worked up over it? Now, thinking back on the comics, the idea of the Blue Lanterns also empowering the Manhunters, now to the best of my knowledge, that's not from the comics. Now, there's quite a bit of Green Lantern that's come out in the last couple of years that I just simply haven't had the chance to read, so I might be wrong on that, but I did a little bit of checking before I made this video, and I wasn't able to find anything about that particular issue, but I can't say 100%. But I'm going to go with it not being in the comics for the purposes of this review, since that's what I've been able to turn up. So I'm okay with this idea. It does sort of make sense. I mean, Green Lanterns and Manhunters are, at the end of the day, both the products of Guardian technology. So it kind of makes sense that there would be certain overlaps. But at the end of the day, it's also the reason they're doing this is to keep the burden of dealing with this on the Green Lantern Corps. If you get a bunch of if you can have St. Walker and Brother Worth just go and empower an army of Green Lanterns, then suddenly the Manhunter problem doesn't really seem like such a big deal. And for storytelling and dramatic reasons, you just can't have that. Okay, there is no story there if the Green Lanterns just get all supercharged and go and kick the Manhunters' tails all around the universe in 5 minutes. Okay, there's just no story there. Now, seeing it Razor with the Blue Lanterns is also some interesting stuff. It is shown that Blue Lanterns can have actually in a way use hope as a weapon, showing people images of things that they hope for. It can confuse them. The power of hope can sort of free people whose emotions have been clouded or corrupted by, like, for example, a Red Lantern ring. So, and I do like that little speech that Razor gives about how he's trying to become a different person. And by the end of it all, he's even says, there are different kinds of anger. I believe that my anger is righteous. Well, there are many, many examples of people espousing the virtues of righteous anger in a variety of sources throughout history. Now, whether or not you agree with that, you know, that's I think that's a little bit beyond the scope of what we have here. But it is an idea that does have its advocates. So let's put it that way. You can make that case. Now, whether or not this is going to work out well for Razor, it remains to be seen. But it is very interesting to see what's going on with this dynamic between Aya and Razor. And one thing that I do have to say about this what we see in this issue, is that I don't think that Razor was really, despite the friction that he and Aya experienced this episode, I don't think he was ever dismissive of Aya and her feelings. I don't think there was ever a moment where Razor was saying, Aya is a toaster. I think this was really more a case of uncertainty. Razor isn't dismissing that Aya. Basically, Razor is unsure if Aya can really return the feelings. In fact, he's probably convinced himself, just because he's so used to having things just turn to crap on him, that whatever he might feel for Aya, she can't return those feelings. And he's just using the fact that she's an artificial life form as sort of his excuse / justification. Now, granted, it is understandable how he might question this. Like, he's probably never encountered a being like Aya before. So is it really that unreasonable for him to ask, is Aya capable of love as I understand love? Is she capable of experiencing this emotion which I have felt for my wife, which I feel for her? And again, this uncertainty, of course, is what ultimately leads to their friction between them. Now, ultimately, at the end of it all, when we get to see their the way they play against each other via Manhunter O-Vision, you see that there is indeed within them the violet emotion. I mean, you see the violet color of light, the violet color of love. In the Green Lantern mythology, violet, although it's a little bit more violet pink here, but you get what I'm going for, is violet is the color of love. Again, like I said, violet pink, and of course we've previously met the star sapphires, so yeah. But anyway, I do like another thing, that when St. Walker and Razor are talking about Aya, Razor never says, well, don't insinuate that I'm in love with the machine, don't be ridiculous. He says, well, whatever I might feel for Aya, she can't return those. I don't know if she can return those feelings. Is basically what his mouth. So Razor never denies having feelings for her. He's just uncertain of the whole situation from her end, which is kind of why I back the idea that this was really more just Razor not really understanding just how fully of sentient Aya is, rather than him just thinking that she's a jumped up iPad. Now, you're free to disagree. Hey, post your feelings on that issue in the comment section. I'd like to hear what you guys think. Now, one thing I did get an enormous kick out of was Ganthet reciting the Blue Lantern Oath. Out of all the other various core oaths, the Blue Lantern Oath is actually one of my favorites. With strong hearts, our souls ignite. I think that's just a really beautiful turn of phrase. So I got an enormous kick out of getting to listen to that. And there was a good, some other really nice aspects to this. The moment, speak slowly and clearly. You guys have noticed that I have a tendency to get a little bit ahead of myself, right? I swear to you, I'm trying to get better about that. Anyway, I did get a little bit of laugh when Aya is having that chat with the Manhunter, trying to reason with it. She fails, and she just literally says the word sigh out loud. That was a needed moment of humor right there. And of course, the fight between the Green Lanterns and the Manhunters was also pretty good. We got to, of course, more than once hear "No man escapes the Manhunters." That's still pretty reasonably sinister to me. It just sounds really creepy. And that's of course one of the main things that I really like about the Manhunters is that they're just so single-minded, so focused. There is no compromise. And Aya's attempt to reason with the damaged Manhunter robot proves that. And it just gets to the point where even she is not just freaked out, but she's also even physically repulsed by the thing to a certain degree. It's a really, really wonderfully well-written scene. I really have to give the folks who made that scene possible, particularly Aya's actress Greta Elise, quite a bit of credit for doing something really, really powerful there. So, the band is back together and it's off into the greater galaxy to figure out how to deal with the Manhunter threat. Now, I did get a big kick out of the Blue Lantern Oath, as I did say, but part of it that I also really enjoyed is the specific mention of the War of Light. Now, I've talked about the War of Light before in my previous reviews, and how I think that this is where the series is ultimately going to go. Maybe not save it as its grand finale for whenever they wrap this show up, hopefully many years down the road. I don't think we're going to get to see the full-blown thing by the end of season 1, but I definitely think they're laying the groundwork for us seeing some version of the full-blown War of Light, and I'm totally on for that. I saw a preview for episodes that are going to be later this season that shows that at least one more Lantern Corps is going to be introduced, and yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that one. So anyway, folks, overall this is a pretty solid episode. A lot of setup going on here, but that's just sometimes necessary. But even so, it's still a really enjoyable episode and well worth your time. And with that said, folks, I'm going to wrap it up here. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.